If I've offended you, I'm not sorry. And it's your fault. Welcome to my onion. I'm Jared.
I'm Melissa.
I have no idea what to say now. No, I'm just kidding. I have things that I think will trigger Melissa, and
That's this whole thing is trying to trigger me.
because she's very to the point and
I'm
confident.
self-aware.
See, and okay, so we live in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada, and
I was born here.
great, and I was not. And my joke sometimes when I find people who moved here is, "Did you move?" Or sorry, "Did you
Or
lose a
why?
bet?" Did you lose a bet? Yeah. Why do people move here? So, before I go any further with this conversation, I want to point out that I'm a very positive person, despite what anybody out there thinks. We all have a story. We all have questions, and I think me and Melissa have gotten to a point where we just don't care who hears what we have to say. We wonder about stuff, and we want to talk about it. My point is, I do talk a lot, and it is often misconstrued or misinterpreted, but I still said that wrong. But
Misinterpreted.
okay, so what's news?
Honestly, I don't know what news is because I don't follow any of that stuff. So if you want to talk any kind of news, you should just tell me.
Okay.
Honestly.
In the circles I follow, obviously some politics, but this is just commentary. This is just us talking about it.
You know my view on politics.
Okay, so in the news, so what people are talking about right now, some people in those circles, before I babble to death, dude is crossing the lines in politics. He got voted in as one party elected official, and now he's claiming he's another.
And I don't agree with that. I think you should have to go through your full term before you can go to the other side. Because now you just got all the information and what that party's doing.
Yeah, you were the one. I think it's just wrong
and then
fundamentally.
Now you're like, okay, I'm going to the other side. I've been to these meetings. I know what you guys are going to talk about, and now I can go tell my buddies. And when we go to these meetings, we'll just already know what's going on, so we could just say no or yes to whatever we want.
Right.
Because we already know what you're going to do, because I've already sat in your party for however long.
Right, let alone what happened to my vote. Like, I didn't vote for you to represent all that stuff. That's it.
I voted you for this party, and now you're going for that party. What does that say to the people too, right?
What about recalls?
What is that? I don't know what it is. Like, I'm telling you, I don't know.
It means we voted for people, we had an election, and some people don't like what the elected people are doing, so they're getting enough signatures to say the voting shouldn't count. That's my understanding of it anyway, so we can be corrected.
See,
obviously.
And this is the reason why I don't do
politics,
because it is a big
construct, right? We're governed from the top down, which never has made sense to me as long as I've ever lived. And this gets really complicated, and it goes beyond Medicine Hat, but that's the point. Like, we live in the world, not just in Medicine Hat. So all these people have all these opinions on what's going on in Medicine Hat that has to do with provincial levels and federal levels, and Lake Medicine Hat being a strong town, or all these things.
It was a strong town. I don't believe that it is anymore. There's no structure or anything. I'm not even trying
I mean
to be
that as a
rude,
label for something called New World Order. And now I'm talking huge conspiracy theories, and a bunch of people are going to say that about it. Well, there's truth to it.
I believe in New World Order. I believe that all these changes, I believe that COVID was a start to that, to see what they could actually make us as the people do. And look what they made us as the people do, okay? And a lot of people are getting sick now, but they don't want to talk about that either, right? So, like, I don't know.
What's the most important part? Living in Medicine Hat, what's the most important thing for people to talk about? Or are we the fringe, the minority that makes up problems that don't exist here?
Honestly, I moved back to Medicine Hat because my family's here.
Right.
if I had the choice of not having to come back and maybe be where I was before, maybe I would have stayed there.
Right.
But the situation made me come back, and now I'm kind of stuck here.
Right.
I literally lost everything, and now I am kind of stuck here, and it's going on in like 6 years.
Do you think medicine has to be a place to live?
If you're old. Like if you're the elderly.
It is a very nice retirement place, isn't it?
But
I won't take that.
It is a retirement
Community.
City.
Okay, see.
They construct the city around the elderly.
Right.
Prove me wrong. Okay, because this is an
No, I
elderly
agree
city.
with you, actually.
Okay,
It's meant to
that's
be.
why there's nothing for teenagers. That's why there's no special events or anything that are like, wow, big things. It's all centered around peaceful, quiet, elderly.
Okay, and to really complicate this conversation, yet we have all demographics of life here, including mental illness. Like, I gotta roll around to it, right? I have to. It's what's made my Facebook channel go to over 1 million views. And
I'm borderline personality disorder, so what do you mean by mental illness? It really depends on the structure of support you have.
Right.
If you're like me, if I didn't have any support at all like I did when I was a teenager, I'd be out being homeless and on drugs like I used to be. Okay?
No, I get it.
I met people that literally are in my life still that support me, and whenever I feel like I'm gonna lose my mind, I call them and they're like, no, do you remember what happened when you did that? And you know what? It brings me back to like, wow.
I think, okay, so I brought it, I wheeled around to that, and I'm not looking for, people think I'm looking to trigger them, and if this triggers people, then so be it, but I'm trying to figure out the real answer, I really am. And maybe there isn't one, but isn't life trying to evolve better to make things better without finding an answer every time? Like, pause, I'm just gonna drop it. I don't think homelessness is a group thing. It comes down to an individual, and I'm starting to think that when it gets right down to it, individuals don't want to look in a mirror and admit that they're addicted, which controls them, which leads to crime, which means them to being a burden in our society, period. And then laws don't seem to be set up to get that person, just keep them locked up even if they're sober, they continue the petty crime. As long as you're breaking a law, you should be in jail. The more it happens, then we can battle all day over what the laws actually are, but there's a fundamental bottom line there. On the flip side, because I guess I'm trying to say on the harsh side, the people who are addicted don't seem to want to admit that their addictions they're not in control of themselves. The addiction is the first thing to restore you back to your proper state of mind. It's a very complicated topic there. I think our government is already drug dealers with this stuff. What I'm trying to actually get narrowed down to, and when I hit the right trigger, you do talk on these things. We live in a city small enough that we see it. And people are ignorant to me and say, oh, go to Calgary, go to Edmonton, or I got friends who've moved to Vancouver, send me TikToks.
The people don't understand this isn't a big city.
I don't. I'm lost in it.
This is not a concrete jungle.
But okay, so I don't want to see it here. So I don't want to see it here. Why would I? My point is though this. I don't want to see it here. And aren't we small enough to do something about it here?
What about the shuttle? Okay, the shuttle that people don't want to talk about that I actually know personally.
All right, if you're gonna go here.
And I know people who personally take the shuttle.
If you want to meet us and talk to us, we'll even mask your identity if you want to come chat.
The drop off is over by the Sun Deck and the Pals Motel, and they come once or twice a month, and they transition all these people around. That's why you see so many different groups of people every once in a while.
Plain and simple.
Because they do that.
If you're in the downtown area,
they made that shuttle so that these people, sometimes they get stuck in these cities. Like, you know, when I was a teenager, I got into a van and was doing drugs with people and ended up in Toronto. Okay, it happens. Shit happens when you're high. I admit that. Okay? that's a way for them to get back to their families, but it's been manipulated to where if somebody's doing too much crime there, they're like, get on the shuttle and go somewhere else.
Oh.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And I know people don't want to believe in that shuttle, but it's a real thing. Okay.
I think that people they think of a big motor coach possibly coming.
Well,
through,
it's also
and
made
100
for
people
people
get on.
to do like recovery houses and stuff. So if they need to travel from
And
one
it
city
could
to
only
the
be
next,
4 or 5 people. They're dropping 4 or 5 people.
about 10 people.
like
maximum.
just enough to blend in and not be the group that.
But again,
not enough to be seen.
the shuttle was supposed to be used for like recovery houses and like for all that kind of stuff, right? But it's kind of just been taken.
We had a
advantage of.
politician run for office, and I don't know his entire platform, but he was suggesting, and I've heard him say this to my face, that one of the ways you reduce petty crime and some of this crime is to change the bylaws. I'm probably misunderstanding this. I don't know if he was saying that's within the city's power or the province's power or federal power. It gets messy because we're talking about our human rights as a Canadian and where we live in the country. Those rights are supposed to be protected, and I don't think they are. And then
We have rights in Canada.
he was trying to say change laws so that arresting somebody takes 3 days. Drag it right out, and that's irony to me. It goes right back to what me and you were saying about the recall and elections and all this stuff. It makes no sense to me if the only way to prevent petty crime from some dude who's high all the time on illegal narcotics, because that's a whole different subject. People are high all day, walk around, vaporizers in their pockets, gummies, you name it. If you're functional, I guess, is the question, because there's a trade-off with every addiction. And I know I'm bouncing around, but what I'm trying to say ultimately is, if creating bylaws on a city level is what removes people from the street and breaks them down to an individual where there's a problem, we really find out, I hate saying this, I dislike saying this, but homelessness is an individual problem, and there's people there that are making a choice not to side with the system. And I'm not agreeing with the system. See, I act like I have an answer, and I really don't. It just bothers me when both sides are saying it's not working, and then both sides don't want to listen to either side for an answer. And it comes down to, unfortunately, human nature is against us, so addiction is a losing battle in most cases.
That's why it was created.
But that's a complicated subject right there.
Well, if you think about alcohol and all of that stuff, the government created meth.
How many churches do you think are
everything.
in Medicine Hat?
I don't know.
How many
But like
weed stores are
I've
in
said, for the churches, like I said, in certain communities, it's the same church, but in just different communities. So those communities can still, instead of having to travel across the city,
it
can stay in their area.
Sense. I just don't understand how we can have such a massive population and
people need something to believe in.
Yeah, but you're believing in different versions, and then it makes us argue. I lost religion when I started to understand "Thou shalt have no God before me," because literally in high school was the first start of immigration waves at my age that I noticed, anyways. And these people were from different countries, and they didn't believe in our God at all. And I got in trouble for asking, "Well, what about him?" Because he doesn't believe in what you're saying. So, and my teacher, like I said, I didn't even really get an answer. So. It's all very interesting. So yeah, I'm just asking questions. That's why we call it our onion. Medicine Hat is a very interesting place to live, and I find it different than anywhere else I've ever been. And with that said, we're gonna stop today.
How's it going?
Very good.